Okay, so Merry Christmas, everyone. We are cooking our Christmas dinner. Um, just something small. Just everything is going on. We just thankful and grateful that we are here. So we just at home together. Myself and Lorenzo just cooking. We just making a small dinner. We making snapper. You showing the snapper, Lorenzo? Pick it up.
We got fresh snapper.
We got a whole snapper that we making for that's what we gonna have, and we gonna have some other sides and stuff. But for dessert, we gonna make a red velvet cake. Um, I'm gonna make this red velvet cake green because we had searched around for food coloring and they only had green. They only had the red food coloring, and the little thing is like this right here. And of course that ain't enough food coloring. And it's basically enough food coloring to make a red velvet cake. But I already had trying to open this up. Yeah, because you need a whole ounce of food color. These are only a third of an ounce. So these ain't enough to color nothing. But I'm gonna use some of the rest of the green out of them to go with the green because I already had some green food coloring at home. So that's holiday and Christmas enough green. So with this red velvet cake, the first thing that you want to do is you want to sift together your flour and your baking soda. You use baking soda for this cake. So I use coarse salt for cooking and baking and all of that. So that coarse salt won't really sift through the sifter. So I add that in after I sift in the flour and the baking soda. So you're gonna use this cake calls for 2.5 cups of flour. So you're gonna use 2.5 cups of flour and 1 tablespoon of baking soda. You're also going to need 1 3/4 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of cocoa, just 2 eggs. Like I said, you'll need the 1 teaspoon, I think she said, of baking soda. Not tablespoon, a teaspoon of baking soda that you actually need. 1 teaspoon of salt. You'll need a cup of buttermilk, and I'm reading off of the recipe that I have for it. And you'll need an ounce of food coloring of your choice, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of pure lemon extract. I also add a half a teaspoon of almond extract, and also you'll need 3/4 cup of canola oil. I use only the Western brand canola oil for the cake, not vegetable oil. I don't use anything else, only the canola oil, because the canola oil is going to give the cake a completely different consistency. And then you also need 1 tablespoon of vinegar, and I'll show you in a moment what we're going to do with that, with the vinegar and all of that. So this cake, it can be a little bit time consuming, but like this recipe, if you follow this recipe exact, this cake is like really like the best red velvet cake. But that was 1 teaspoon of baking soda that I added into this cake, into the flour. So I'm gonna just sift. This is the 2.5 cups of cake flour. Now I only use cake flour. You can use all-purpose flour if you want, but I only use cake flour because it gives the cake a completely different like consistency as far as the crumb of the cake. So the sifting step is just necessary just to get out any little extra stuff that might be stuck inside the flour, like that stuff right there. So then I'll add in my teaspoon of salt. Like I said, I only use like the the coarse sea salt. So I add that in like that so that I can incorporate it, and I just use a whisk to whisk it up. So that's the flour. That's your flour mixture to the cake. Now then, what you're gonna do is you're gonna add to your stand mixer with a paddle attachment. You can do it with a hand mixer or by hand, but it takes like a lot longer when you actually do it with a hand mixer. Now that was the 1 3/4 cups of sugar. Now to that, you're gonna add 1 3/4 cup of canola oil. So it's the 1 3/4 cup of sugar and the 1 3/4 cup of canola oil. Now just make sure I get all my oil out, because you need all of that. So with this step of the cake, creaming together the oil and the sugar, and I'm gonna in a second add the egg to this. This is like the most important step of actually making the cake. Like it takes a while for it to come together. If you skip out on this step right here, then your cake gonna be dry. It's gonna be dry and it ain't gonna have the right crumb texture. So you want to put this on about medium speed, and you just gonna let this mix. And right now it's kind of like very liquidy consistency. So, but you want to bring this all the way back to like more of like a thick, like buttery consistency. And you'll also notice that the color will change as well once it gets to the consistency, and all of the sugar the sugar crystals have melted down into the oil and stuff like that. So this step right here, you just have to wait until it comes together. Now also with this cake right here, what I make is a cream cheese frosting, like cream cheese with pecans. I'll show you like the frosting recipe. Like over here, with the frosting, I just use Philadelphia cream cheese. I use 2 8-ounce blocks of Philadelphia cream cheese, and also I use 2 sticks of Land O'Lakes butter. Now this is the salted butter. Salted butter does make for a better tasting icing or frosting or anything like that. So I use 2 sticks of that, and I use about the whole bag of confectioner's sugar. But the recipe calls for about 6 cups of confectioner's sugar when you make the actual icing. And then also I use pecans. I'm not gonna put like a whole bunch of pecans on the cake, because I like mostly frosting and just like garnish with pecans. Now this is still going. This is like not yet the consistency at all that you would want it to be at. But while it's going, you just want to scrape down the sides to bring down any sugar that's coming up on the side. Scrape the bottom off a little bit, and you can even feel it on the spatula. Now you can feel like it's still got a lot of big sugar grains in it. So you continue to beat this. And like I said, with a stand mixer, this works. That process works a lot better, and it's a lot quicker than use a hand mixer. But you can do it with a hand mixer. But with this with these cake pans, what I do is I don't like butter and flour my cake pans. I use Pam baking spray. Um, it's like it already has flour in it, so you don't need the flour. But I also have these parchment paper rounds that I put in the bottom of the cake pan in order to keep the cake. Cause this cake recipe has a lot of sugar in it and a lot of oil, so you want to put so that just ensures that the cake won't stick. So I'll spray the cake pans, and then I also spray the parchment paper liner as well. And I use and these are really good cake pans right here. So they release pretty well, so you don't really need a lot of cooking spray. And like I said, I spray the liner as well. And even this cooking spray, it smells like a cake. Cause like the flour and stuff that they already have in it smells like really good. And I just push the liner down a little bit so that the cake won't go up under. But if it do, like it releases like really well when you put the parchment down. They make sure that your cake won't, no matter how, even if you burn the bottom of the cake, if you put a parchment liner down, the cake is not gonna stick. Like if you do that step, there's no way your cake will stick. Your cake will release every time. And you can even make it, sometimes I even put it like where it goes up the sides. Like in the mold, I'm gonna make some, use bread flour to make some rolls. So like rolls and they have a golden crown, I would make some of those. And when I make those, I put parchment paper on the whole pan on the side and on the bottom so that to make sure that they don't stick, because they have a lot of butter in them. Now this is still, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. It's a better consistency. But I'm gonna just let it go for a little bit longer. You can see that it's getting thicker even with just before you even add, I even added the eggs. It's thickened up. So this recipe only calls for 2 eggs. And I already have my eggs ready, already cracked. So it calls for 2 eggs for this recipe. And also, you alternate the butter, milk, and the flour, and it calls for 1 cup of buttermilk. So only the whole fat buttermilk. Like some buttermilk is saying low fat on it. You get the way you know that the buttermilk is whole fat, it'll say gourmet on it. If it says gourmet on the buttermilk, then it's whole fat on buttermilk. I have some in the refrigerator I would show to you, but I have to go over to the refrigerator to see it. But if you know the buttermilk is whole fat, if it says gourmet on it. If it don't say gourmet on it, then it's just a half fat buttermilk, which is fine. I mean, it's not gonna really, but the whole fat buttermilk has a better taste. So you can actually taste it better in the cake if you use the whole fat buttermilk. So even with this, I'm gonna let this go. Before I add the egg, I'm gonna let it go for a few more minutes. On about medium high. Right now it's on, you can go on 5 for a few minutes. And now when I get to the step where I do I'll add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Now I only use the apple cider vinegar. I don't use the regular vinegar. I use the apple cider vinegar because they have a different, you know how apple cider vinegar tastes. So it has a different flavor and it bakes out of, that taste bakes out of the cake better when you use apple cider vinegar. I'll add that, combine that with 1 tablespoon of cocoa. Now I only use like really good cocoa, so I probably use like the best ingredient when you making cake. Like I said, the almond extract, the lemon extract, and the vanilla extract. I add those in later. So I'm just gonna let that go for a second. And you can see it's like a thicker consistency. It's not, you don't really see the oil sitting on top of the sugar in the morning. So at this point, and this process takes like a different amount of time for everybody. It just depends on what kind of equipment you're using and the quality of your ingredients and the temperature of your house as well. Normally go faster. You already in the kitchen cooking, and the kitchen already warm and stuff like that. So to this, I'll start adding in the eggs. I add 1 egg at a time and mix it in well, and then add the other egg. So I beat the eggs and start it on low. And this step right here, even though it takes long, this is like the most important step, like I said, and it just, and you'll see how the consistency of the actual of this mixture is gonna change in the color and stuff. You can see how much thicker it's getting now. Then I'm gonna add the other egg. And when you baking, you want to make sure that all your ingredients everything is completely at room temperature. Like nothing can't be cold or chill, because it's gonna make the cake batter lumpy. So let me mix in this egg. You can see how the consistency is starting to change. Like it's really thick. And it's gonna come back to like a even thicker stage, like a more buttery type of stage. Like I said, with this process, you can use this process with a lot of cake, but with this red velvet cake, this process gives you the most.
Get out of here. Go.
I got no water in there. I'll feed you.
Get out the kitchen. Go.
So you can see how the consistency has changed with that. So let's break this down another time. You can see how it's like more of a much thicker consistency. Scrape this down. Scrape the bottom of the bowl. Make sure all the ingredients, everything, ain't no sugar clumped down at the bottom or nothing like that. But this process right here, I'm making a red velvet cake. This recipe is the best recipe for making red velvet cake. You can see how much thicker like it has got thick, like a cake batter almost. So like at this step, what I do is I take the 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder and I add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and mix this together. Because you want to get this apple cider vinegar and the cocoa mixed together real good till it become like it's gonna become like a little paste. So you want to get this mixed together like this until it becomes like a little paste, like a chocolatey looking paste. And then I take this cocoa and apple cider vinegar mixture and add this in. Want to make sure you get all of it out. You're gonna mix this in to that sugar and the sugar, the eggs, and the canola oil mixture. Scrape this side down a little bit. mix this in a little bit better. And then at this step is when I add the alternate the flour and the buttermilk. Add that into the cake. So I'll start with on the flour, adding about a cup at a time. Alternate with the buttermilk. Then I add a little bit more flour. Scrape bowl down. Get all that flour about the size of the bowl so it can mix down into the cake. So this cake it's really not that hard to make. It's pretty simple to make. The longest step is just creaming that creaming the butter and creaming the canola oil and the sugar and the eggs. That's like the longest step. So this is like an easy cake to make anytime for your family or for the holidays or any occasions you want to make it for. Because it's a simple cake to make. And this is some more buttermilk. So this is what we doing for Christmas. Staying home, enjoying each other, and cooking, trying to stay safe about this corona, cause this coronavirus out here, and you want to be able to be here to enjoy. This is not last year, and you want to be here to enjoy next year. Christmas. Add in some more flour. Add in the rest of my buttermilk. Get it all out of the thing. That's all you flavor. So you need the buttermilk. Put the size down again. Last bit of flour. Combine the folk to some combine this flour into it. To this, now I'm gonna add my flavoring. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of each. Well, 1 teaspoon of the vanilla flavoring. The pure vanilla extract. You want to make sure that with these types of cases, you're not using flavoring, that you're using the 100% pure extract. Not the I have vanilla flavoring I use for certain things, but for this you want to make sure that you're using the 100% extract. And I think 1 teaspoon of pure lemon, the pure lemon extract. And to this also, I add a half of teaspoon of the pure almond extract. You don't want to add as much almond because almond is very, very strong. It smells really good, but it's very strong. And so if you add too much, it will mess the cake up. So I just add just a teaspoon of the almond. I want to mix the flavors in. Like I said, now I'm gonna color this one green. So this is 1 full ounce of green food coloring. And I think that I used some of it out of here before. So I'm gonna put about half of this one. I used some of it before. And see how green this becomes. It should be a real pretty dark green. Real green. Add a little bit more vanilla. I like a little vanilla too. So this turned out a real pretty green velvet color. Let's quick size down a little bit. So I get everything mixed in really good. Well incorporated. Scrape the bottom down one good time.
Holiday red velvet or holiday green velvet.
Holiday green. They didn't have any red. I have some red food color, but I don't think it's enough to get as red as I want it to be. Because I would make a green and a red layer, but I don't think I have enough to make it as red. Or the red red velvet color I want it to be. So let me get this mixed in good. You want to just mix it until it's pretty much incorporated well. You don't want to over mix the cake because if you over mix the cake, it's going to be tough. So that looks like it's mixed in pretty good. You want to be careful with the green food coloring. Or the red in the color. Does it get everywhere? This is another paper towel holder. So I have my oven at 325 because my oven cooks high. So you want to put it on the middle rack. Most times the recipe will call for 350, but I'm gonna start cooking mine on 325 because my oven cooks really hot. So I have 3 cake pans, and I want to try my best to level it out between the pans. So I try to put about 2 cups per pan, or at least see how start out with that and see how it works.
It's a nice green color.
Yeah, it's a pretty color. And I'm just doing it this way to try to get them as evenly as possible once I actually put them in the oven to bake. And these spatulas are so handy, like especially with baking or cooking or anything, because they make sure that you get everything out of the whatever it's easy to get, get it out of measuring cups and stuff like that, and scrape down stuff. Split a little bit between this one. I want to make sure I get all my cake out of the thing. Now you got some kids, and they might want to lick the bowl. Some grown people that like to lick the bowl, but I want to get all mine out into the thing. So as you can see, I didn't get that much on me. But with this, once you add the food color and stuff, you want to be careful with it. That's why I got on ragged clothes and stuff, so it'll splash somewhere, then it'll be okay. Clean up the pans. Now with the red velvet cake and certain kind of cakes, see I got all the bubbles in the top of the cake batter. With these kind of cakes, you want to like drop them a couple times to knock some all that air out of them. Now with pound cakes and stuff like that, you don't do that with no pound cake. You don't. But see, I knocked some all those big bubbles out of it. And so now these are ready to go into the oven. You see it, Rinse. Now you want to put these in the oven on your middle rack for about 45 minutes. All right, see your cake tester comes out clean. Now I'm gonna put mine on a timer of 35 minutes, and I'm gonna check them at 35 minutes. But I'll know by the way that it smells in the kitchen how completely done the cakes are. But I use chopsticks to test like the cakes, because they like the easiest one to use. So I always save all my chopsticks from Chinese food and stuff, and I use that for cake testing. But that is the that's how you make the cake, the red velvet cake. So I may come back and show you guys how to make the actual icing that you use for the red velvet cake. But it's pretty easy. So I hope you guys have happy holidays. Thanks everybody for watching. You can always check it out on my YouTube channel as well. I'm posting on Facebook. I just want to say that be grateful and thankful that you've made it this far in the year. Be grateful and thankful for all of your family and loved ones. Even though you can't be together as much as we normally are, but I'd rather be safe and not be as close or be right there with my family this year, so that we can be together next year and the year after that. I love them too much to put them at risk, and I definitely don't want to put myself at risk. Even though I would really want it bad to go to Tallahassee to see my daughter, I go down to Lakeland, Florida to see my family. But thank you guys. You have a happy holidays, and we'll be back maybe with the icing.